As we continue to talk about emotion and how emotion is created by motion, you might remember from before, we're going to shake that booty a little bit, and you're going to shake it when you need to fake it until you make it. But emotion is our greatest resource. So if we can get ourselves moving, create greater emotion, we'll be much more resourceful. So when we are feeling happy, we're more creative, we're more productive, we might feel that we have greater determination, we have greater certainty in what we're doing, we feel connected, we feel like we're more flexible, we don't have to be as rigid in our approach, and we tend to have more compassion. Compare that with somebody who is not in a very resourceful state. Perhaps they are feeling angry, they're feeling frustrated, they're sad, they're depressed. How much productive activity do you think somebody in an unresourceful state is going to accomplish versus somebody in a resourceful state? I know I don't have to answer that for you. So we're going to get moving. We're going to create greater emotion. When we have greater emotion, we have greater resourcefulness. We're going to be more resourceful. And I know some of you are saying, oh, I've heard this before, I've done this before, and it never worked. Let me tell you something. If you've done this before and it didn't work, congratulations, because that means you got an education. You can never fail, as long as you learn something from what you have done and you apply it to the future. You can never fail. That's the best part. I was just walking with my husband the other day. We're walking the dogs, and he was talking about a situation he had with an employee. And I said, well, you just got to tell that person that that is fantastic because they just got a great education. They know what not to do in the future. And sure enough, they were able to turn it around and correct it because they learned what didn't work, applied it moving forward, and then became successful or generated the outcome they were looking for. So remember, failure is never a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness. And as long as you apply what you have learned, you can never truly fail. So you've got to make 3 decisions right now. Moving forward, what are you going to focus on? Because whatever you focus on is what you're going to be feeling. Now, what does that mean? If we focus on we're working from home, if we focus on the economy is at a standstill, if we focus on I can't connect, I can't go out and go to my pool and do swim my laps, or I can't get on and there's nobody on the stock market, everybody's doing everything virtual. If you focus on all of the bad, all the things that can be negative in your life, that's what you're going to feel. But I'm going to tell you, you can focus on the good, and if you look for the good, you're going to find it as well. And if you're focusing on the good, you're going to feel so much better. So here's a little story for you. Less than a week ago, I was having a fantastic run with a friend of mine who's in law enforcement. And this was literally 24 hours post-shutdown, U.S. economy shutdown. And we were running, and he is a rather prominent figure with the law enforcement. And as we are heading along on our track, we're chit-chatting about the current state of affairs. And I told him, I said, I really feel for you guys on the front line because if this current situation continues, you're going to be faced with a big uptick in crime. You know, that uptick in crime is going to compound, and you guys are the ones in the front lines. And don't you know it, 15 minutes later, we got back to my car, and the window was busted open. We had just talked about it. Normally, somebody could come back to this. I think there were people in the parking lot who were much more upset than I was because I looked at what it meant. It really didn't mean anything. I would get a new window, and it wasn't going to change my life. It wasn't going to make me angry. I chose to focus on the fact that it's just like a speed bump in my day, but it's not going to determine or define who I am. In fact, some people read it on Facebook, and for those who didn't, I posted about it because within 5 minutes of making the phone call, I had not 1, not 2, 3 sheriff's deputies showed up. They could not have been kinder. They could not have been more assistive. They could not have been more professional, and never made me feel bad that my car, because I'll tell you, I do have to accept this little bit of responsibility. I had my old, crusty, ripped, torn swim bag sitting in my front seat. I would have never guessed, ever dreamed that somebody would even think that that was valuable. It had swim caps and goggles sticking up the top of it. It clearly was not a purse. If you're a criminal, you don't maybe look at that or you don't take that into consideration. However, I normally would have to take some responsibility for that because I did leave it there. These 3 sheriff's officers, not a single one made me feel bad. Not a single one made me feel responsible. They could not have been nicer. So I made 3 new friends, 3 people I would have never met before. And one of the gentlemen started talking to me about the Captiva triathlon that we put on. How great is that? Then the nicest, kindest people from Lakes Park asked me to come to the back with them because they would like to vacuum all the glass out of my car. Who did that? They said, we don't want you driving around in glass. So I met 3 really nice Lee County Sheriff's officers. I met 3 fantastic people from the county, from Lee County Parks and Rec. And this is all before 9 o'clock. I'm on my way home. I call up Audi to find out about getting my car in and getting a loaner car. They're not even open yet. By the time I took a shower and was driving back there within 20 minutes, before I arrived, they had a loaner car set up for me. So the moral of this story is I had so many fantastic, great things happen that morning. So many people come together to help me. When this one person had done something negative, I chose to focus on how great everything was. In fact, the sheriff's officers, the parks department, and the people at Audi kept saying, you've got a really great attitude for somebody who's just gone through this. I said, why wouldn't I? Look how wonderful everybody is. So whatever we focus on is what we're going to feel. Make sure that you're focusing on things that are going to help you feel and be your absolute best self. Don't get bogged down by things that waste your time. Have a great day.